Good day, book readers. This is the B-Side Book Reviews, and today we are diving into a classic, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, by Jules Verne. Or I think I'm saying that right. This book was published around 1870, and there has been a few movies based on it, one of which had Kirk Douglas in it. So, grab your coffee cup or your pipe, whichever makes you feel more intellectual, and let us look at this classic novel. Good heavens, there's an evil narwhal, out scouring the high seas, wreaking havoc by ramming its mighty tusk into ships. So, to combat this evil marine maimer, Professor Pierre Arnax, and his manservant Cancel team up with Master Harpooner Ned Lane to hunt down this vile creature to, I'm guessing, study and harpoon. Now, as the story goes, the three get stranded out on the water. And guess what? The evil narwhal turns out to be some futuristic kick-ass submarine that is high-tech, way before high-tech was considered high-tech. Yes, the three board the mighty and ultra-cool Nautilus, where they meet the very brilliant and extremely rich Captain Nemo, who seems to love the sea and has some really serious social issues. Nemo takes them in, and he treats them as honored guests, as long as they don't destroy anything or bitch about the lack of women on board. At first, all three passengers feel like they've boarded the submarine division of the Carnival Cruise Line. Now, the food isn't bad, unless you're allergic to seafood, and the underwater view that the Nautilus provides is something one could only dream of. Now, being a world scholar and lover of knowledge, Professor Arnax is pretty elated by such an opportunity. And his manservant, pretty much agrees with everything the professor says, which tends to get a little creepy at times. Ned Land's, on the other hand, is a different story. Sure, Ned finds all the high-tech underwater stuff to be really cool and all, but he's a man, darn it! And a man can't be cooped up in a submarine forever with a bunch of dudes. Sure, Ned is used to setting sail for weeks on end while whaling. But the salty old harpooner is also accustomed to hitting the harbor towns to free willy from time to time, if you get my meaning. Yeah, however, this isn't happening on the Nautilus because our Captain Nemo is a bit of a nocturnal Howard Hughes and isn't all that crazy about other humans, or dry ground for that matter. Yes, this submarine captain keeps his seamen under a tight control. Yeah. However, he does let his guest wander about on some remote island for a little recreational hunting and running for their lives from the local natives. Now, one could say this story here could be called How I Spent My Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring on a really cool submarine with a moody captain and a crew who spoke their own language. Yes, Captain Nemo takes his passengers from the North Atlantic to the South Pacific, through the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah, and from nearly being cooked in the boiling waters of volcanoes to the exciting experience of almost being crushed by an Antarctic iceberg. Indeed, in these pages, we go on a really cool adventure where we can explore the underwater world like never before. Oh yes, there is one problem though. This is a one-way ticket. Once you board the Nautilus, there's no return docking date. Oh no. Once you submerge, there ain't no coming back up. Now what exactly is the plot here? Is there a point to Nemo's travels other than he's got nothing better to do? Now we never really get into what happened to Nemo to piss him off so badly. Yes, just let your own imagination figure that one out, right? Now this book really brings forth a lot of questions. Questions like, is there really an underwater tunnel that connects the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea? Can you really make quality cigars out of seaweed? What else can you smoke down there? And what does sea creature milk really taste like? Oh, but the most important question is, are all of these high-tech electronic practices that our author wrote about in the 1860s actually feasible? If so, then why the heck was Jules Verne wasting his time writing books? He should have been spending his time becoming the greatest engineer and inventor of the 19th century. Maybe all this stuff that made the Nautilus run in this book was actually common knowledge back then, but it just wasn't economically feasible. Who knows? So many questions. Of course, our story was about 25% story and 75% aquatic animal guide. Oh my gosh. So much info about so many sea creatures. I felt as though I was being tortured by Jacques Cousteau. Jacques Cousteau. Yeah, that line would have been funny about 40 years ago. But what really blew my mind were all the darn species I had to look up. I had no idea what a dugong was. Or that cachalot was another name for a sperm whale. Cachalot. Cachalot? Why didn't they just say sperm whale? Okay, and anyone who has seen the movie is all too familiar with the epic scene where a giant squid grabs onto the mighty Nautilus. Yes, that's the part of the book which I had anticipated more than anything. Well, I was deep into that passage before I even realized that this thing that our author referred to as a polyp or a cephalopod, was indeed the giant squid or octopus creature that I had been anticipating through all these pages. In the movie, the giant squid pretty much latches onto the Nautilus and basically plays sketch with it. However, in the book, the questionably named creature merely sticks its tentacles down the ship's hatchway and, fills the Nautilus up a bit. Wow, what a letdown. First, no women, and now this? One of the toughest things about reading this book was dealing with all the blessed seafaring units. Oh my gosh! There's the nautical mile, which is 1.15 miles. But when you think about it, that's not that much different from a regular mile. So, what's the freaking point here? Then there's the phantom. Phantom? Okay, a phantom is a measurement of 6 feet. So, why can't we just simplify things and say 2 yards? Or how about 6 feet? 20 phantoms? 120 feet. Now, was that so tough? I don't think so. Then there is the question of a knot, which is equal to 1.15 miles an hour. Wait a minute. Is that the same as a nautical mile? Knots and nautical sound alike and have the same distance relationship, but they aren't spelled the same. Not nautical. Are they just trying to screw with my mind here? And what about the term leagues? Now, for someone who didn't know any better, 20,000 leagues under the sea gives the impression that the story is happening, 20,000 leagues deep into the ocean. But with a quick calculation here, please. Whoa! That comes to around 69,000 miles under the ocean. Now, the ocean may be deep, but it ain't that deep. Now, I quickly came to the realization that the title here means traveling 69,000 miles while underwater. Okay, now I get it. Leagues, phantoms, nautical miles, knots. Why can't these sailor guys calculate distance like normal people? No wonder people are leery about getting onto ships. Jeez. Oh dear. Now I realized that a book about the under-ocean world might contain a lot of this and that about fish. But seriously? Geez, take all the aquatic animal identification out of this book and our 426 pages here would be washed down to maybe 125? Wow. Now here we have a great contrast of characters in our passengers aboard the Nautilus. We have the knowledge-seeking professor who isn't all that miffed about spending the rest of his life cruising around in a highly advanced, way before its time submarine, doing things that most people of that time couldn't even dream of doing. Then we have Ned Lands, the macho-driven whaler, who gazes at the marvels of the marine life with the simple question, would that fish taste better baked or fried? And indeed, being a whaler, Ned has the sea in his blood. But, well, this 20,000 leagues thing under the sea adventure, well, it's a bit much even for a salty seaman like himself. Okay, one very quick realization about the book that is very apparent is, well, there's no women. In the 1997 movie version, the third member of the party is a lady, instead of some disturbingly obedient manservant dude. In fact, there is no mention of the fair sex anywhere in our 19th century travel blog guide. Not even a brief mention of the Little Mermaid. Then again, maybe that's what drove our Captain Nemo to the undersea world. A lost love? Yes, we get the feeling that our introverted submarine skipper might have lost some near and dear loved ones. And that's why he's basically pissed off at the world above the water. Now, our author doesn't give us a whole lot of details about the man, but we come away with the impression that Nemo is a bit tortured, a bit brilliant, a bit rich, for sure, and perhaps a bit loony soul. So, we're given the opportunity to make up our own judgment. After all, the man's name alone is quite interesting. Now, Nemo in Latin means nobody, but in Oromo, well, that African language, it means the man. And of course, to some, Nemo, N-E-M-O, could stand for Northeastern Missouri. So many questions. So here we covered the classic novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by, Jules Verne. Not 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Yes, we covered that. If you remember, through my constant hair battle and mispronunciation of every other word. Oh well. Go read a book. This one maybe. I'm going to work.